All right, last one for today. Whoops. Is the Hebrew word for violence Hamas? Question mark. If so, in Genesis, is that the reason for the flood? And if both of those are true, does this point to another reason we are looking at the end times? And then they quote Genesis 6:11, and I'm just reading this. I didn't look it up. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And then it says Hamas, being that word used. This is from Marie.
Yeah. So Marie, I looked up Genesis 6:11, and yes, that's the word Hamas. It's actually Hamas in Hebrew, and that's how Hamas is pronounced in both Hebrew and Arabic. Actually, in Arabic, it's a term that means zeal. That would be probably the translation of Hamas in Arabic, but in Hebrew, yes, it is the word for violence. And in the book of Genesis, yes, that was one of the reasons that God brought about the destruction of the earth. When you look at what Jesus has to say about the last days, this is out of Matthew chapter 24. I'll give you the specific address. It says, then many will be offended. This is in verse 9 of Matthew 24. It says, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. He's talking to Jews here. These are Jews. His disciples are Jews. And that's who he's talking to here. And many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. It goes on, and he says, for then there will be great tribulation in verse 21, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. And so, yeah, there's going to be violence during the end times. There's another passage in Timothy. Let me get there real quick. And this is in 2 Timothy in chapter 3. It says, but know this, that in the last days perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. And so that's a great picture of the lawlessness that we have going on in our culture nowadays, and the fact that this is so widespread and that it's so overt in our time is an indication that, yeah, judgment is coming. You know, I don't know very many people that aren't looking for judgment. There's a lot of people on this planet right now that understand that something's up, and we're coming up against something that's going to be pretty radical here. And it's actually an opportunity to share with people, because the Bible does say something's up and that times are going to turn radically bad. In the book of Revelation, it talks about Jews being under persecution, and specifically satanic persecution during the last days. And so what you had going on during Hitler's Germany is something that the Bible talks about taking place in the not so distant future. And the fact that we have so many people in the United States that are willing to go that direction is just an indication of how far gone we are and how quickly judgment's coming. And so need to look up.
Yeah. It is interesting that they chose that name for the Islamic resistance movement, and you know how the names in the Bible correspond with like the personalities and the works and all that stuff. It's like, well, there you have it.